All right, welcome back. This is the second tutorial on how to use Inkscape. We've got a few different points we could start from. We have the Inkscape project, and then we also have these raw PNG files. Because a lot of our older maps are in the raw PNG files, I'm going to start with one of those. So what we're going to do is right-click, open with Inkscape, and we're going to get this import dialog. That's pretty normal. I usually leave all the defaults. And we're back to where we were. So first things first, we're going to import the compass overlay. Go to File, Import, navigate to our compass. And again, we get the import dialog box. Just go OK. I'm going to zoom out. The compass overlay is a little bit unique in that it is transparent. So if I click on behind it, I'm going to get the image behind it. But if I click directly on it, no, watch me not be able to do the thing that I'm saying I'm going to do. If I click on it, I can grab it on top. To resize, if you want, you can just click and drag and it'll warp all over the place. But if you hold Control while resizing, it will maintain the aspect ratio. I'm going to grab that out. See, that's what happens. That's still a little bit too big for what I wanted. So keep shrinking it down. Keep centering it up. And for our purposes, that's probably good enough. All right. Next thing we're going to do is make a text box. So we're going to select the rectangle again. Click and drag whatever size we want it to be. To set the colors and opacity of that box, it's in the bottom left. All three of them are together. Right now the fill is white. I'm going to change the stroke, which is the border, to black. The opacity is 70 right now. It can be 50 if you want it to be more see-through. But 70 seems to work pretty well. And you can set the border of the box, how thick it is, by double-clicking this little number next to stroke. And we get the fill and stroke dialog box. This will also let us select whether we want a solid line, or if we want a dotted line, dashed, anything. But yeah, we can select how thick the border is by just typing it in and hitting enter. Next, we're going to go to the text tool, which is also on the left. And my default text size is set to 10 because that's ideal for ENVMON markup, but doesn't really work for black books. So I'm going to have to show you how to change that. For now, we'll just go, okay, this is Mount Owen. And Control A selects it all. And you have the option to change it up above. Drop down, make it 24. And now I can, if I hold Shift, it'll resize this object on either dimension together. So if I'm not holding Shift, it just does that. If I'm holding Shift, it does that. Now, real quick, I'm going to right-click. I've still got the selection tool. I'm going to right-click on my text box, go to Text and Font, and that's going to create another dialog box over here. I've got Palantino, and like I said, my default size is 10 because that's pretty good for ENVMON markup. But for these black books, we'll go ahead and we'll set it to 24. And now I can set as the default. If I apply, it's just going to apply it there, which it's already happened. All right, we're going to close these dialog boxes, zoom out. Next thing I can do is, with the selection tool still active, click on that, and I'm going to hold Shift and click on the box behind it. Now I Control, and all I'm doing right now is copying and pasting, so I'm using Control C, Control V. Control C to, and you get to listen to my sound effects. Control A selects all the text. I don't really need to explain too much of what I'm doing because I've already said it a few times, but hopefully you get an idea of how things can start to accelerate, especially when we do the second one. All right, now for most black books that would pretty much be everything up into that point. I'm actually going to move this one over to there because there's a little bit of a transfer station there for Mount Owen. So just for when I'm actually setting the angles later on. Now, Liddell is unique in that there's a rail line that goes straight through the middle of it. So what we're going to do is draw some fun little lines. Ooh, I sound like Bob Ross. All right, so starting from here, we'll just come down. We'll just follow that rail line through. And I'm not too, oh, I messed up. I'm not too fussed about how closely it follows the rail line, because as I'll show you in a sec, there's a really easy way to fix it up afterwards. So we'll just get the general gist of the thing. Hit enter, and now I've got a black line. I'm going to go down to the bottom left, right click on the color red, set the stroke so I get a red line, double click the number 1, which brings back up my fill in stroke dialog, set it to 3 so it's a bit thicker. There we go. And also, if you accidentally start drawing a line, you can hit escape. With my selection tool, I can select that and I can change dimensions of it. The other thing that I want to do right now is I don't like how that text box is behind my line. So I'm going to select those two items, go up to Object, and I can either raise it manually or Object raise to top. And that means that line is going to go behind it now. Next, we're going to clean up this line a little bit. Below the selection tool is this Edit Paths. And now I have all the points. I can select one of the points of that line and move it, or I can select an intermediate point, clean it up that way. I need background music or something. As I'm doing this, it'll actually change the dimensions of this object as well along the way. Yeah, you can put a bendy in it pretty easily. Gonna go ahead and put the rail loop on there too. I don't even know if they still use this rail loop, but whatever. Hit enter. Change my width again. Change my color again. And maybe grab some of these, just round it out to look a little bit nicer. Cool. Zoom out. Oh no, what happened there? Just had too much selected. All right, there we go. And that kind of gives us an idea of where all the major noise sources are for this map. I'm going to go ahead and drag that into there. And I have two options at this point. Because we edited a PNG, we actually can just go save. But I'm also going to want to save this as an SVG project so that I can edit all these items later. So we'll just call this 146 Herpton Road. Close that out. Like I said, because we used the PNG as our base instead of a fresh project, it saved those changes. I can't move any of that stuff, but I can go back into the original project and mess around with things. I think that covers everything I wanted to do in this particular tutorial. I'm going to do one more just to show how you can streamline this process a little bit.